Xbox Showcase right here on IGN Live. Let's keep this recap going and talk about another huge one from today. We'll dip into third party for a minute here. Metal Gear Solid Delta. That looked awesome. That looked awesome. Destin, I know you love this series. I want to go to you first on Metal Gear Delta. This is an Unreal Engine 5 remake of MGS3, Snake Eater. What'd you think?
Yeah, well, they actually showed a lot more of the introductory sequences and how they've remastered them. So we have a few comparisons on IGN that I have done based off the assets that have been released already. So just getting to see these scenes that I've captured like 5 times remastered, it looks so good, and it's really faithful to how the original was, with some interesting mechanics like being able to climb on the rafters. But Snake looks great, right? Yeah, I'm 100% sold on this one. I'm down to see what Konami does with it. Very excited.
Miranda, any love for Snake? You gonna choke some guys out in that game?
I can do that in real life.
Oh yeah,
I know. I took judo for a while, but I don't know Snake personally. Like, we're not pals yet, but I'm excited to be introduced to him in this when he gets to be in the mud and disguised a lot. that's kind of what I've taken a lot. It's like, oh yeah, do you like disguises? Do you like the mud? That's just what I remember from this. But yeah, I'm interested.
Stella, you diving into the mud with Snake on this one?
Well, everyone knows I'm bad at stealth, but I would try it for this. But it's so funny because when he jumped out of the plane, I was like, oh, it's like Tom Cruise doing his own stunts, and he's doing like the survival and everything. The survival aspect is so interesting. He has to find his own guns. He has to find his own food, which I felt so bad when he popped up in front of that deer. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Your lunch.
Yeah, but it looks really interesting. I'm so curious to see how that works out in Metal Gear.
Well, like the camouflage plays a huge part. So seeing him, the mud scene in question, is like really, really interesting because that'll up your camouflage rating, and the CQC stuff has changed. I could go on about Metal Gear.
Well, a game I want to go on was one I heard it called out from the crowd earlier, and we'll go back to first party here. I cannot wait. We didn't get a date, interestingly, so we'll see when in 2024. But this year, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Yeah.
That is Machine Games. Those guys have never missed, not once. Even when before they were Machine Games, that group of developers made The Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay one of the greatest original Xbox games ever made.
Phenomenal game.
Then they leave and start Machine Games, and they do the excellent Wolfenstein games that we've had since. And now, again, the home of awesome first-person games on Xbox, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, a first-person game. Miranda, it clearly looks like Machine Games is going to have an awesome story here. There was a lot to chew on in this trailer.
I wanted popcorn to chew on while watching the trailer because it was so cinematic, right? Like, I think they're trying to, and they've said that they're trying to like walk the line of having that cinematic enjoyment experience because it is Indy's adventure, but you get to be part of it. So balancing that out. And I think it had exactly the kind of humor and tone to it that I would have expected. And so it was almost like a confirmation check on that. Like, hey, this is exactly what you're probably expecting from the story. And that's a good thing. We do like throwing Nazis off ships and into pits. So that's great.
Stella, how'd you feel about first-person whipping?
Amazing.
I
can't wait to slap
some cool gameplay mechanics
around.
with that, yeah.
It looks so fun. I can't wait to slap some people around. I am very curious about the platforming and everything because I'm really bad at that. But also the puzzles. I mean, Miranda, we're gonna be doing so much in Guys, just figuring out like all the different puzzles and secrets.
I'm stoked.
So yeah, I'm really excited.
Destin, Harrison Ford making some money just for his face off of this game, which great. But Troy Baker is doing a really good job on the VO side for this. Like, it's right. Don't you think he sounds pretty young Harrison Fordy in this? Yeah,
he's nailing that Harrison Ford vibe, and this really focused on the storytelling and interactions between the characters and their mannerisms and how the one actor is making fun of American cartoons. I really like that, and I like how they sort of vilify that character, but also add a little bit of that campy humor in there. It's really feeling like indie. I'm going to be curious how they implement puzzles and gameplay on top of that, the storytelling. and how that all comes together, I'm really still intrigued about.
And again, like this is a AAA top shelf Indiana Jones game. It's day one on Game Pass. Like I know that's like almost a meme at this point, like a cliche, but you don't even have to do anything. You just download it and you pay that monthly subscription and you're good to go. But man, yeah, I am so pumped. I have probably more confidence that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is going to be good than anything else. Like there was a lot that was great, but given Machine Games' track record, there's just nothing. I have less than zero doubt that they're going to knock it out of the park.
And the pitch comes from somebody that loves the franchise and loves Indiana.
Yeah, Todd Howard executive producing this game too.
Yep.
So that is, they're bringing it in for the home stretch. If I had to guess, just having done this for a long time, I'll bet Gamescom we get a release date trailer. That would be my guess. If they didn't give us that date, they still reaffirmed 2024.
Right, I was
for
going to
now.
say, I mean, there's a lot of games in the showcase that didn't have a date. It's just 2024. So I think it's kind of continuing with the trend we've seen since the pandemic kicked up, with that people, instead of just declaring a release date, they just wait until they're ready to actually announce it and stick with it instead of having to keep pushing stuff back.
Yeah,
So I think that's safe.
Nothing's out until it's out anymore, but I think Gamescom is a pretty safe bet to get a release date trailer for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So a game that has been highly anticipated for, at this point, many years, and we finally got a pretty cool look at it, was Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
Yeah, what a surprise.
That looked great.
It did.
That looked great. I mean, Destin, you're a big BioWare fan. It has been, actually this year is 10 years since the last Dragon Age, which was, by the way, IGN's 2014 Game of the Year.
Wow.
Sunset Overdrive got robbed that year, by the way. I voted for Sunset Overdrive. Yeah, I see some support out there for it. But what'd you think, Destin, of Dragon Age? You know, long hiatus. This game it got announced forever ago. It's already had a name change, but now we get a pretty good look at kind of, or a good idea at least, of just what it is. What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm still intrigued by whatever Dragon Age is going to wind up being, but what I felt was more important was Xbox showcasing this on their stage as opposed to EA doing something separately or with Summer Games Fest.
Yeah.
Because it shows their commitment to the partnerships that they've been working to establish. And to see Dragon Age on their stage, it's a huge win for Microsoft and Xbox. And it wasn't just Dragon Age. There were a bunch of games like that. And it really made the showcase feel special.
Yeah. Now, Miranda, you love your video game relationships, games where you can establish relationships with
Gotta
your
get that
characters.
smooching. Yeah.
And this seems like apparently there's going to be a lot of that going on with the companions.
Yeah, it's BioWare. We got it.
Yeah, exactly,
we're gonna have those romance guides. What I liked about this trailer too is that we had so many like quick looks at new characters that are coming. So like we see Varric and other people that we've seen before, but then it's just like here's a name flash, a very quick look at like almost a taste of their personality before we actually get to know them. So it's like I'm already plotting who I'm gonna romance first. So, you know.
Stella, any thoughts on what we saw from Dragon Age: The Veilguard?
Yeah, I loved Inquisition. That was actually my first entry into the Dragon Age games. Yeah. And I loved it so much, and also loved the romance. There's so many good scenes in there. Yeah, romance. But I'm really curious to see where the story's going to go, because it left off, especially with the DLC, there were some pretty hard feelings there. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to pan out. But it looks great. I love that the trailer was kind of formatted like it's a heist. Oh, we're getting a crew together, you know? So very curious to see what the story beats are.
Yeah, is anybody else pleasantly surprised that had a 2024 date on it? Like, that means in
On
the
that
next
note,
few
though,
months.
I'm a little bummed we didn't see gameplay because it is a 2024. Like, we still got Perfect Dark gameplay, but we couldn't get Dragon Age gameplay. Like, I'm guessing, well, they're going to do some more stuff later, though, so I'm sure that's when we'll get that, and then hopefully release date soon after, too.
Yeah, suddenly the back half of 2024 is looking pretty packed.
We're going to be really busy.
There's going to be no shortage of video games to play, and hopefully what seems like really, really good video games. There's so much on the list. How about, let's go back to another first-person game and another first-party Xbox game. Avowed was in there. We didn't get a release date for that. which I found a little surprising at this point, but we did get a pretty variety-filled gameplay trailer. Destin, we've talked on Unlocked a lot over, like that game has, it hasn't always won everybody over, right? We had that initial CG trailer that had kind of quite an Elder
It gave a
Scrolls.
certain impression, right?
Yeah.
That initial CG trailer, and then they had the follow-up, which was the more recent reveal. But I'm really intrigued by the story that is teased within every reveal so far. Gameplay is looking like it's starting to come together, and it's coming out this year, so we'll know very soon for sure. But the story is what's going to really win people over, I think, with Avowed.
And Obsidian has an incredible track record with delivering great stories and games. Obsidian, by the way, they're like about an hour and a half south of here, down in Irvine. Anybody from Irvine in the house? We got this. I'm not sure, but yeah, Avowed still on track for 2024. We don't know an exact date yet, so I suspect they're probably trying to get confident about it before they tell us exactly what it's going to be. But another one that you can play on your Xbox and in Game Pass this year. That is coming this year. So we've just got a couple minutes left. I want to get through a couple of more games. I'm going to skip down, again, because this is a game that we got a very cinematic, non-gameplay reveal of it last year's Xbox Showcase. But we got to see some gameplay of South of Midnight.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yes, from Compulsion Games. The art style on this is stunning. The art style is beautiful on this game. Yeah, Stella, what would you think of watching that South of Midnight trailer?
Well, also, the voice acting was great. Everything about it was just so perfectly done. The movement is what really caught my eye. The movement looks so fluid, and I love the different ability effects that you see when she was fighting that one monster. But the movement thing is going to be huge, because I saw her walking, and I was like, oh, great, we're going to have another running simulator, but it's not. You have so many different powers. So I'm really interested to see what exactly her backstory is, what we're doing here, why we're like in Florida because it's got this giant gator. I'm like, no, I'm good. But yeah, I'm very excited.
Miranda, thoughts on Avowed now that we've gotten South of Midnight, now that we've gotten a proper look at it?
Yeah, I love the catfish friends. Like, I'm very curious to see what other kind of critters that we get from down south and featured in this in like a really cool way. And very imaginative too. Like, you kind of feel like the magic of it. And I really liked, as Stella, you were saying with the combat, like I like the white highlights, and it contrasts so nice against like this blight that's obviously starting to infest areas and infect the critters around too, it seems. So I'm curious to see a little bit more of the story as well and see where we go with it. But I'm definitely looking forward to this one. It looks great.
I'm not sure. Go ahead, Destin.
Okay, yes, props to Compulsion, like love South of Midnight. I really just want to make sure we get time for 33, Expedition 33. And
you're just hijacking the final segment, I see. Typical Destin move if you watch Unlocked on a regular basis. Go ahead.
I saw the teleprompter. I'm like, I really have to mention Expedition 33.
Oh, no!
Go for it.
Yeah, so obviously, South of Midnight looks great, but there were a lot of games like that that really subverted expectations, right? And one of them was Expedition 33. And it seems to be like a turn-based RPG. Very, very beautiful looking, available on Game Pass day one, new IP. So like, we got a bunch of that, and that's another thing that really had me excited.
Quickly, let's do everybody's game of the show. Everybody's game of the show. No, because I know what you're going to say.
Oh, well, yeah.
Destin, I'll start with you.
Oh man, putting me on the spot.
I am putting you on the spot because you just hijacked the segment from me. No, I'm kidding.
Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
Perfect Dark. I think
Solid
it's
pick.
easily the game of the show.
Solid pick.
Yeah.
Stella, I see you reviewing your notes, trying to make a decision.
They're all
on your
so
game
good.
of the show.
You know what? It's Doom.
Doom?
Yeah.
Doom. Yeah.
I was torn
Hell
between.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Yes.
Literally, hell yes. All right, Miranda. Just go ahead and say it.
It's Gears of War EJ, obviously. But I also liked what it's called, something 33. I also really like that. That seems cool.
For me, I went in probably expecting Doom to be my game of the show, but I have to say, for me, Perfect Dark stole it for me.
Yeah.
Perfect Dark stole it for me. What a phenomenal showing. That game is, we know it's been in development for so long. Like it's been through a lot. and it is really coming together based on that gameplay trailer. So I'm going with Perfect Dark. This showcase was so great. You could have easily picked 10 games and been right.
Yeah.
There was no real wrong answer to Game of the Show on this phenomenal Xbox showcase.
We didn't even mention Call of Duty.
Well, the Call of Duty Direct that felt like Black Ops 6 looks great.
Yeah.
Black Ops 6 looks awesome this year. I'm really stoked to get back into the campaign for Call. I've skipped the last couple Call of Duties, but this one, not going to be skipping this one. Black Ops 6 looking great. So that'll do it, everybody, for our post-show wrap-up of the Xbox Showcase. Thank you all so much, but we're just getting started today here at IGN Live. In just a little bit, I will be back in this chair talking to Xbox boss Phil Spencer for an exclusive interview later on today. We've also got Star Wars Outlaws, X-Defiant, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and a live episode of IGN's Game Scoop podcast. But right now, it's time for the IGN Expo, a brand new showcase packed with tons of awesome game trailers right here on IGN Live. Check it out.
Thank you, everybody.